This week, we got some news on Sony's game preservation efforts, we got some news about Geforce Now, and we even got some Apple news. So let's just go ahead together as a people and check it out! And welcome to another sensational Sunday. I'm Mike, and yes, I am here to talk about the gaming and tech news this week. We actually got one tech story, so I squeezed one in there. Let's hop right into it today. Let's talk about Sony. So, as part of their expanded PlayStation Plus service, which launches in June, which we have another story about that next, but they are going to be bringing those older games, the PS1, PS2, PS3 via streaming titles, to that highest tier of PlayStation Plus. Essentially, they're probably going to need somebody to work on these old games to make sure they're running the way they should be. So it seems that Sony might have a game preservation team now, or at least we can confirm that they've hired one engineer to join this game preservation team. So obviously we don't know much about it. We don't know if this goal is just to support the new PlayStation Plus tiers with the games that are part of that service, or maybe they'll finally do backwards compatibility in the future. We really don't know right now. The only thing we know for sure is that we hired this engineer, and they said on Twitter that they're part of the Sony game preservation team, and they're excited about it. Hopefully this could be more than just them working on these games for the PlayStation Plus service, but I wouldn't expect it at this point. I think this PlayStation Plus service is probably their answer to backwards compatibility. And if you want it that bad, then pay for their highest PlayStation Plus tier. I think that's how they're answering it. But we'll see what happens in the future. This could lead to more as far as backwards compatibility, but probably not, knowing Sony. And another thing that Sony's definitely not going to let you do is take advantage of a loophole to get PlayStation Plus Premium for cheaper. Nah. They closed that whole jank off. So as of right now, you cannot add any additional time to your PlayStation Plus membership unless your membership is expiring. As we know, as we talked about earlier, that PlayStation Premium is dropping in June. As a part of that, people that have PlayStation Plus and that have PlayStation Now are automatically going to be rolled up to the premium tier. So as a loophole, let's say if you have PlayStation Plus right now, you could have stacked 2 or 3 more years on it, right? And then you could have subscribed to PlayStation Now just long enough so that way when the new service launches, it'll automatically convert you over to premium, because it's basically going to convert all of your existing PlayStation Plus subscription to the premium tier if you have PlayStation Now. So you would have just basically needed it long enough to get to that point where it launched, and you could have got that premium tier for 2 or 3 years for a lot cheaper, obviously, because it's $120 a year. Let's say if you did that PlayStation Now for 3 months, it would have been $30 plus 3 years of regular PlayStation would have been $180 if you're paying full price for it, which who does that? I usually get it for $40 most of the time. So let's say if you pay that $180, well, you'd be getting that for 3 years for essentially $210 versus paying $240 for just 2 years of premium. So it would have been significant savings, especially if you plan on having this for multiple years. So they went ahead and closed that up. They were like, nah, y'all ain't taking advantage of us. Unlike what Microsoft did, where they let everybody convert their Xbox Live Gold over to Game Pass Ultimate for $1, and then new people was racking up years and years and doing that, and they're like, go ahead and rack it up because we got you in the subscription anyway, so we don't care. I mean, the benefit of that is they probably saw increased sales from people doing that and be like, oh, I'm just going to rack up and get this service, and more people using their service than if they would have blocked it like Sony's doing. But, Sony's a different company. They have different priorities. Whatever. I think they should have just let it slide. That way they got more people in the door on the subscription plan, and then when they forgot to cancel it and renewed it, they would have had a bunch of people on the hook. So Sony, go ahead and do your thing. If you're trying to add time to your PlayStation Plus right now and it hasn't expired yet and it's not letting you, that's the reason why you're not going to be able to add time until the new tiers drop in June, or if your subscription completely expires before then. So yep, Sony has shut it down. Everybody that was trying to get that premium tier and the cheap, it ain't gonna work now. But you know how you can have a premium experience without having to have premium hardware, and that's through a streaming service like Geforce Now. Speaking of Geforce Now, we got a story about it. So they're finally releasing a native Apple Silicon version of Geforce Now. So you can technically play it now, of course, through Rosetta 2. So The disadvantage of that is it's going to probably consume more battery life because it's having to translate that into a language that this new processor understands. But now with the native version, theoretically, you should at least get better battery life, possibly lower latency, but they didn't really specify if that's actually going to happen or not. But yes, now there is going to be a native version, a native Apple Silicon version of Geforce Now. And the cool thing about that is you kind of link in your library. Like, yes, there are games that are supported, and you link in either your Steam library or Epic library or wherever you have those games are, and you can stream them. And if you have the page here, you can stream from an RTX 3080, so you've been getting this bomb hardware too, and that would kind of mitigate maybe if you're on a Mac and you know, want a game but you don't have a gaming computer. It's just a cool alternative because you buy the games through Steam or whatever, and if you ever do get a gaming computer, then you still own those games, so at that point you can run them natively. So I really like the idea of Geforce Now as a streaming service. Essentially, you're just paying them to use a remote computer for games that you already own. And speaking of Apple, and our final story as we transition away from gaming, so gaming is done, we out of here. We're gonna transition to our little tech story and then close it out. I talked about this, I think it was last year at this point, but Apple announced that they were launching the self-repair. They're going to make these manuals and tools available to users who want to do that kind of thing. Well, now it has launched in the US. So right now it's only for the iPhone 12 and 13 and the iPhone SE, basically their current generation phones that they have out. You can either buy tools from Apple, rent tools. The tools are kind of expensive, like $50 for a week. I'm like, these better be diamond encrusted, like screwdrivers or something, $50 a week. But anyway, you can either buy or rent tools. They'll also have the manuals and a list of parts available. So that is now an option. It seems like it might be a pricier option. I haven't looked into it myself because you have to put in your product ID in order to even go through that process and get like access to the manuals and the parts and all that stuff. But they did mention in the article that it was like $50 to rent the tools for a week. And I was like, I'll just go to iFixit and buy the tools, y'all. I'm good. But it's better than nothing, but I think it definitely could still use some work. Just having the service manual is great. But we'll have to see the price of these parts, like how much is it actually gonna cost for a battery, that type of stuff, before seeing if it's really gonna be what we want for right to repair. Speaking of rights, it's my right to bring this video to a conclusion, which is what I'm doing. But let me know what you think. Do you think that there could be more with this PlayStation game preservation team? Are you excited about the native version of Geforce Now on the Apple Silicon Macs, or the ability to repair your own iPhone? But let me know in the comments, and I am going to go away till Wednesday, at which time I will return with another wonderful video. But until then, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, and subscribe, and always do at least 2 things at the same time.